All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, and we're still going to be solving systems of equations by graphing. And remember, whenever we're talking about solving, what we're meaning is that we're going to find an ordered pair that solves both of them, that I can plug in the x and the y from the ordered pair into both equations, and it's going to make them true, because remember, a system is two or more equations. And for the ones we're still working today, they're already set up into our slope-intercept form, which yesterday we talked about how our slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b, and that m is our slope, that b is our y-intercept, and the x and the y are just a point on that line that we're going to graph. So what we're going to do is exactly what we did yesterday. We're going to set up our what we're doing, then we're going to graph them, and then we'll work from there. So, and my animals always get started. Here they go. Okay. So if I look at the first one, y is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1, I can see that my b is negative 1 because you have to keep the sign that's in front of it. So now I'm going to have a point at 0, negative 1. And then I know that my slope is negative 1/2. So a negative 1/2, that means that we're going to take the negative to the 1. We're going to move down 1 since it's a negative, and 2 to the right. So on our first one, our b is negative 1, and we're moving down 1 to the right 2. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to put a point at negative 1, and I'm going to move down 1 and right 2. So I'm going to have a point right there, and I'm going to put my phone down and draw that line. All right, and you always want to make sure you use a straight edge, because especially for this, you want to be very precise and make sure that your lines are going to intersect in the correct location. So you want to make sure that you're using that straight edge. So then for the second one, I have y is equal to 1/4 x minus 4. So my b is going to be negative 4. So I know I have a point at 0, negative 4. And my m is 1/4, or my slope is 1/4. It's a positive slope. So I know I'm moving up, and I'm going to move up 1 and right 4. So I'm going to start here at negative 4, and I'm going to put a point there. And I am going to move up 1 and over 4. Okay, and I'm going to put a point right there. And let me put my phone down so I can draw my line. Okay, and so when I draw that, I can see that my two lines intersect right here on this point. And so my solution is going to be 4, negative 3. And I'm just going to check that. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to substitute 4, negative 3 in for my x and y. So negative 3 is equal to negative 1/2 times 4. So that would be negative 2, because half of 4 is 2, and it's a negative because it's a negative times a positive. Negative 2 minus 1 would be negative 3, so that's correct. Then I would have negative 3 is equal to 1/4 times 4. And so you can either look at it as a fourth of 4 is 1, and then 1 minus 4 is negative 3, or 4 and 4 are going to cancel, leaving you with that 1, and 1 minus 4 would give you that negative 3. So either way, 4, negative 3 works for both of them, So that's our correct solution to this system that we got by graphing. Okay? Now, if you look at number 4 is a little bit different than the other ones that we've been working because we have just a y is equal to -1. So there's a couple of ways you can look at that. One way that you can look at it is you can look at it as, okay, no matter what my x is, my y is going to be -1. So if my x is 0, my y is -1. If my x is 1, my y is -1. My x is -1, my y is -1. And you can start to see it's going to make that horizontal line going across right there. Or you can remember the little thing that we did, hoi vux. If it's hoi, it's a horizontal line. It has a 0 slope. And it's always going to be y equals. So, and it's going to go through whatever that y equals. And in this case, that y equals -1. So I'm going to have a horizontal line that has a 0 slope going through y at -1. So let me put down my phone and draw that. Okay, so there's that line. And so there's my horizontal line through -1. It has that 0 slope. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at my second line. And my second line is y is equal to -5/2 times x plus 4. So for this one, my b is 4. So I know I'm going to have a point at 0, 4, because that's my y-intercept. My slope is -5/2. So since it's a negative, I know I'm moving down 5 and right 2. Okay? So I'm going to start at 0, 4. I'm going to put me a point right there. And I'm going to move down 5. 5. And I'm going to move over 2, 1, 2. And you can see right there it's going to cross right here on that line. But I'm going to go ahead and draw in my line so we can see my line. Okay, so if we look at that, to plug it in, my y is -1. Well, -1 does equal -1, so that works. And I forgot to write my solution. My solution is right here at this point to -1. So my solution is to -1. So my y is -1, so if I plug in a -1 right here, -1 equals -1. So yes, that definitely is correct. Then I'm going to come here to y is equal to -5/2 x plus 4. So if I do 5/2 times 2, those 2's are going to cancel, and it's going to leave me with -5 plus 4. Well, -5 plus 4 is equal to 1. And I just want to show you that because a lot of times with fractions we forget. So this is what that would look like if we were doing that -5/2 times 2, plugging in that 2 for that x. Remember, in a whole number, you have to put it over 1. So what I'm talking about when I say that they're going to cancel out, they're going to 1 out. I can do that cross-reducing that we talk about in class. 1's on the bottom just mean it's a whole number, so this would be -5. Whoops, and my pencil got stuck. There we go. So that's a -5. And then -5 plus 4 is -1. And so that solution works. And that's all for today. I hope that y'all are having some good family time and not getting too bored. Do some ALEKS. Keep up a little bit of those math skills. I'm not expecting you to stay on it all day, but 15-20 minutes a day won't hurt you any. Y'all have a good time. I miss y'all. I love y'all. I hope we get to see each other soon. Bye-bye.